Friends, the topic of today's discussion is composition and structure of atmosphere. As we know that the atmosphere, what is known as atmosphere, that is the surrounding and its composition, structure and composition of the atmosphere. Composition means what it contains. The atmosphere is composed of gases, water vapor, and dust particle. The table that is showing the content, the details of various gases in the air, particularly in the lower atmosphere. The proportion of gases changes in the higher layer of the atmosphere in such a way that the oxygen will be almost in negligible quantity at the height of 120 kilometer above. Similarly, carbon dioxide and water vapors are found only up to 90 kilometers from the surface of the earth. This is the table of the composition of atmosphere, permanent gases of the atmosphere, the constituent and the percentage by volume. The highest, that is the nitrogen, 98.08%. Oxygen is 20.95%. Argon, that is 0.93%. Carbon dioxide, 0.0325%. Then neon, that is 0.002%. This is the continuation of this particular table. Helium, 0.0005%. Then krypton, 0.001%. Xenon, 0.00009%. And last is the hydrogen, the lowest percentage in the atmosphere. Now the gases, the carbon dioxide is meteorologically a very important gas, as it is the transference to the incoming solar radiation, but affect to the outgoing terrestrial radiation. Do you understand the statements of this line? That means when the solar radiations is coming, okay, on the surface of the earth, how it is transparent to the incoming solar radiation but affect to the outgoing terrestrial radiation. It absorbs a part of terrestrial radiation and reflect back some part of it towards the Earth's surface. It is largely responsible for the greenhouse effect. The volume of other gases is constant, but the volume of CO2 has been rising in the past few decades. And this is mainly because of the burning of fossil fuels. Of course, there are other reasons responsible for rising of the CO2 in some extent. This has also increased the temperature of the air. Ozone is another important component of the atmosphere found between 10 and 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface and act as a filter and absorb the, the ultraviolet rays radiation from the sun and prevents them from reaching the surface of the earth. This is very important statement. The next content is water vapor. Water vapor is also a variable gas in the atmosphere, which decreases with altitudes. In the warm and wet tropics, it may account for 4% of the air by volume, while in the dry and cold areas of desert and polar regions, it may be less than 1% of the air. Water vapor also decreases from the equator towards the pole. It also absorbs parts of the in isolation from the sun and preserve the earth radiation heat, and it thus acts like a blanket, allowing the earth neither to become too cold nor too hot. Water vapor also contributes to the stability and instability in the air. The another content, that is the dust particles. Atmosphere has a sufficient capacity to keep small solid particles which may originate from different sources and include sea salt, fine soil, smokes, soot, ash, pollen, dust, and disintegrated particle of metro. Dust particles are generally concentrated in the lower layer of the atmosphere, yet conventional air current may transport them to the great height. The higher concentration of dust particle is found in subtropical and temperate region due to dry winds in comparison to the equatorial region and polar region where there is a moist. Dust and salt particles acts as a hygroscopic nuclei around which water vapor condenses to produce clouds. The structure of the atmosphere actually, that is the surface of the troposphere, that is the troposphere is very close to the earth's surface. Then above 12 kilometer there is the stratosphere. Above 50 kilometer there is a mesosphere. Above 80 kilometer from the mesosphere there is a thermosphere, and above the thermosphere there is a exosphere, or it is ionosphere, that is 320 kilometer away from the thermosphere. This is all about the different layer. Okay, from the earth's surface. Below the troposphere there is a lithosphere. Lithosphere is related to the rock. It includes a rock. Troposphere, this is the layer of the atmosphere closest to the earth's surface, extending up to about 10 to 15 kilometer above the troposphere, is wider at the equator than at the poles. Temperature and pressure drops as you go higher up the troposphere. The tropopause, at the very top of the troposphere is the tropopause, where the temperature reaches a minimum. Some scientists call the tropopause a cold trap because this is a point where rising water vapor cannot go higher because it changes into ice and is trapped. If there is no cold trap, Earth would loses all its water. The uneven heating of the region of the troposphere by the sun causes convection, current, and winds. Warm air from Earth's surface rises, and cold air above it rushes into replace it. Tropopause. The zone separating the troposphere from the stratosphere is known as tropopause. The air temperature at the tropopause is about minus 800 degrees centigrade over the equator and about minus 45 degrees centigrade over the poles. The temperature here is nearly constant and hence it is called as tropopause. Then stratosphere. This layer is lies directly above the troposphere and it is about 3-5 kilometer deep. It extends from about 15 to 50 kilometer above the Earth's surface. The lower portion of the stratosphere has a nearly constant temperature with height, but in upper portion the temperature increases with altitude because of the absorption of sunlight by ozone. This temperature increase with altitude in opposite of the situation in the troposphere. The ozone layer, this is the specialized layer in the stratosphere. The stratosphere contains a thin layer of ozone. Ozone means O3, which absorb most of the harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The ozone layer is being depleted and is getting thinner over Europe, Asia, North America, and Antarctica. The holes are appearing in the ozone layer. Sunlight crossing the ozone layer, and hence the ozone layer is very important. The ultraviolet radiation is absorbed by the ozone layer. Okay, that is looks like a filter. Huh. The harmful radiation is, of course, absorbed by the ozone. Okay, and the Earth's surface becomes safe for the sunlight. Fresh sunlight is coming on the Earth. In future, there is a chances for depleting ozone layer. The aircraft and the other some reason is responsible for depleting ozone layer. The chlorofluorocarbon is one of the important gas responsible for the lowering the percentage of the content of ozone layer that is present in the stratosphere. Stratopause, this is the boundary. Again, is the level of the atmosphere which is the boundary between two layers, that is stratosphere and the mesosphere. In the stratosphere, the temperature increases with the altitude, and the stratopause is the region where a maximum in the temperature occurs. Mesosphere lies above the stratosphere, which extend up to the height of 80 kilometers. See, in this layer, once again temperature start decreasing with increase in the altitude and reaches up to the minus 100 degrees centigrade at the height of 80 kilometers. Then there is the next layer, that is thermosphere. The thermosphere extends from 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The thermosphere is the fourth layer of the Earth atmosphere. It is found above the mesosphere. The air is really thin that height of. The temperature changes with the solar activity. If the sun is active, the temperature in the thermosphere can get up to 100, 1500 degrees centigrade or even more higher. Then ionosphere. The ionosphere is located between 80 and 400 kilometers above the mesosphere. That is the boundary. It contains electrically charged particles known as ions, and hence it is known as ionosphere. Radio waves transmitting from the Earth are reflected back to the Earth by this layer. Temperature here start increasing with height. Then exosphere. The exosphere is the uppermost layer of the Earth atmosphere. In the exosphere, an upward traveling molecule moving fast enough to attain escape velocity can escape to space with a low chance of collision. If it is moving below escape velocity, it will be prevented from the escaping from the celestial body by gravity. In either case, such molecule is unlikely to collide with another molecule due to the exosphere low density. The elements of weather and climate. The main element of atmosphere which are subject to the change and which influence human life on earth are temperature, pressure, wind, humidity, clouds, and precipitation. All these factors are more or less important, uh, and disease influences the life of the human being, okay, and another animals also. This is some photographs showing the forms of precipitation. This is the windmill. That means this factor are responsible somewhat for changes in the contents of the composition of the atmosphere sometimes. Thank you very much.